Hello, my name is Eric Ward, and I will be presenting the Dalai Lama. Tenzin Gyatso, the current Dalai Lama, or the 14th Dalai Lama, was born on July 6, 1935, in Taksar Amdo, northeastern Tibet. When recruiting Tenzin at a young age, the search party of monks brought him a mala, a rosary, and a bell without any explanation or context. A few days later, they returned with intention of finalizing the test. At the age of 5, he began training at the monastery and by the highest monks. He then studied until he was 25 years old, he earned the highest honors available. Tenzin Gyatso was recognized as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, Thubten Gyatso, at a very young age. The Dalai Lamas are believed to be manifestations of Avalokiteshvara, or Chenrezig, which is the bodhisattva of compassion and the patron saint of Tibet. Bodhisattvas are realized beings inspired by a wish to achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings who have vowed to be reborn in the world to help humanity. The Dalai Lama religious views. The Dalai Lama has been following the face of Buddhism for about 60 years. So what is Buddhism? Well, Buddhism is a major world religion founded in northeastern India and based on the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, who is known as the Buddha, or the Enlightened One. What path of Buddhism does the Dalai Lama follow? The Dalai Lama belongs to the Gelugpa tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, which is the largest and most influential tradition in Tibet. So what is the Dalai Lama? Well, the Dalai Lama is known as the head monk of Tibetan Buddhism and traditionally has been responsible for the governing of Tibet until the Chinese government took control in 1959. Just like in the Catholic Church, when their leader dies, or a pope dies, a new one must be picked. So there are 3 ways to find out where the reincarnation for the new Dalai Lama will rise from. There's dream, smoke, and the oracle lake. So as for dream, one of the high lamas may dream about some mark or location that will identify the boy. For smoke, if the previous Dalai Lama was cremated, high lamas will watch the direction of the smoke and search accordingly. And as for the oracle lake, high lamas go to a holy lake called Lamo Latso in central Tibet and watch for a sign from the lake itself, for example, a vision or a form of direction, or like a compass, for instance. So what is the Dalai Lama famous for? Well, the Dalai Lama is a Buddhist advocate for peace and freedom. From his exile in India, the religious and political leader the current Dalai Lama has, since 1959, stood at the head of the non-violent opposition to China's occupation of Tibet. So the speech that I'll be covering is the Dalai Lama's Achieving Long-Lasting Happiness speech, which involves training your mind for happiness, shifting your perspective, and cultivating compassion and altruism. So as for training your mind for happiness, the Dalai Lama suggests the approach to happiness relies on heavily learning, reasoning, and the training the mind. He explains that through inner discipline, we can undergo a transformation of our attitude, our outlook, and our approach to living. These principles of causality can be applied to your mental states. If you desire happiness, then you should identify those factors which lead to happiness, and which lead to suffering, which means you pretty much have to balance it out. Eliminate the factors which lead to your suffering from your life, and cultivate those factors which lead to happiness. So, with that being, one achieves happiness through the learning of which mental states to cultivate and which to eliminate. So, for the positive mental states that lead to happiness include love, compassion, patience, and generosity. For the negative mental states that lead to suffering that you should eliminate involve hatred, greed, envy, and frustration. So selecting and focusing on positive mental states can lead to happiness if you practice these studies every day. And challenging negative mental states, which lead to suffering, requires, some say, a systematic training of the mind. So the approach of focusing on your mental outlook also places the secret to happiness within your own hands, instead of leaving it at the mercy of external factors, which are not in your control, according to the article, The Dalai Lama Happiness Tips. As summarized, the Dalai Lama pointed out, as long as there is a lack of the inner discipline that brings calmness of the mind, no matter what external facilities or conditions you have, they will never give you the feeling of joy and happiness that you're seeking. On the other hand, if you possess the inner quality, the calmness of the mind, a degree of stability within, then even you lack various external facilities that you would normally consider necessary for happiness. It is possible to live a happy and joyful life, says the Dalai Lama. As for happiness that can be achieved by shifting your perspective, the Dalai Lama goes on to explain that the ability to shift perspective is one of the most powerful and effective tools we have to help us cope with life's problems. In order to shift these, we'd have to shift our perspective by doing the following, which are looking for opportunities which could arise from the situation, taking a wider perspective, and thinking how things could be worse, which is always the worst thing. For shifting our perspective, we can make the problem seem smaller and more manageable. Within difficult situations, more opportunities grow. Lastly is compassion and altruism that lead to happiness. So according to this article, compassion, as the Dalai Lama explains, is a mental attitude based on the rationale that all human beings have an innate desire to be happy and to overcome suffering, coupled with a desire for others to achieve this as well. It's associated with a sense of commitment, responsibility, and respect towards others. In conclusion, despite all the loss that Dalai Lama has experienced, nearly every time he gives a speech, he's always smiling and happy within it, which proves his studies and his training throughout all of this. Thank you, and yeah.